Hello my dear friends, my name is Sanne and welcome back to another beauty video. Today I have another tutorial for you, this time Valentine's Day inspired. I'm not specifically like a Valentine's Day fan, I just freaking love Valentine's Day inspired makeup. Like give me anything pink, red, heart-shaped, whatever, it's adorable. I want to do it. So today I have a fun heart-shaped halo eye look for you. So let's quickly get into how to create this makeup look. And I'm gonna get started with priming my face. And for that I'm using the Essence Fix and Last Jelly Primer. So I'm just rubbing that into my skin, making sure we have a nice tacky base to get started with. Then I'm gonna go into the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation in the shade Cool Light. And I'm just grabbing my sponge, have a little bit on the back of my hand, and I'm just gonna be blending that onto my skin. I just want to make sure that especially my cheeks are just slightly covered up, just so my blush will pop a tiny bit more. And now I'm going into the CoverGirl True Blend Concealer to really cover up everything that I want to cover up. And we're just blending that in with the sponge as well. Going for a flawless base, of course. And then we want to bring some color back, so I'm going into a blush, and for that I'm using the Naming Playful Cream Blush in the shade Inflamed, because we're going for red tones. So I'm just warming that shade up with my fingers a tiny bit so I can spread it across my face. It's just going in straight with tools with this one doesn't really work very well. You need it to warm up a tiny bit. And then I like to go in with a sponge and just softly blend it out. This is a really subtle red blush, but you can definitely build this up if you want. I feel like we need a tiny bit more on the nose. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to go in with fake freckles later. So I want to create a cute base for the fake freckles. So now that we have that cute blush done, we can set everything in place with some powder. And for that I'm using the Etuse Face Edition powder. I've been using for a while. It's a very cute little powder with a puff. I've been enjoying this very much. So then I like to quickly go in with some brow products. And for that I'm first going in with the Cara Beauty Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Taupe. I never liked brow pencils before until I started using this one. And then to set those hairs in place, I'm going in with the Essence Lash and Brow Mascara, just to comb everything through and make sure it stays. Okay, so next we can get into the eye portion. So first I'm gonna prime my eyes with the Milani eyeshadow primer. Just using that to cover the entire lid. And then I'll just wait a tiny bit until that's a bit dry. And then next I'm going into the Colourpop Fade Into You palette, because I want to dive into this full pinky red toned row. And I'm gonna get started with some very small fluffy brushes. Very small, because I want to be able to do some detail work. And first I'm going into the shade Paradise, which is the deep, almost red toned shade. I'm placing that in the inner and outer corner as if I'm going for a halo eye. And I'm just working a tiny bit upwards and outwards. I'm not blending fully yet because I want to go in with the lighter shades and then blend everything together. But I first want to darken those inner and outer corners and create a tiny bit of shape. Something like that. And then for the lower lash line, instead of creating a full halo eye, I'm going to just put a tiny bit of this deep red in the center. Like that. And you can kind of see already the shape it's creating, but from this point on we're gonna work it and expand it and really turn it into a heart shape. So I'm grabbing a slightly bigger fluffy brush and I'm going into the shade Atelier, which is a tiny bit darker. Placing that right around those edges. And we're just slowly working that heart shape. And then I'm going into the shade Lovecraft, because it's the lighter pink shade. I'm really focusing that around the edges of this heart. And once this general shape is done, we can go back and forth with some of the different shades just to bring back that shape a tiny bit, you know? Because I feel like we are creating a tiny bit more shape, but we're also losing definition. So I want to make sure we're just going back and forth and really create the best heart shape that we can. So I'm just gonna go back in with some of the deeper shades just to create some more definition. Are we seeing the heart shape yet? And now of course we want some sparkle as well, so I'm going into the shade Fantasyland and apply some sparkle to the center of that lid, mainly to the top part over here. And what I like to do with halo eyes is then go back into blend those shimmers into the rest of the look. But I feel like maybe to get really a good amount of sparkle, we're going to need a glitter glue. So I'm using the Technique glitter primer, and I'm just applying that in that lighter area, basically, that center area. And then I'm gonna go back in with that shimmer shade. And you can also definitely go in with some actual glitter, and for that I always like to use a silicone wand, because then I'm not gonna have the glitters like all over my fingers and whatever. Okay, fancies. And then I also like to go in with that shimmer shade that we used and just slightly in the inner corner, just because I always like to have a light inner corner. Okay, so that's mainly the look that we're going for. I'm just gonna go do the same thing on the other side and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back. I have the blend done on both sides, so we can continue with the rest of the face. I'm just gonna apply a lovely little colored liner just to make sure our waterline is blended into the rest of the look. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply some fake freckles, and for that I'm using face paints. These face paints that I have. You can use basically any face paint or graphic liner or freckle product. I just like using these because I have these lovely, a bit more cool toned brown shades. And then I'm just going to be using some water for these shades. Make sure you blend them well. We get some pigment. Sometimes I like going in with a bit more water and make them like slightly less pigmented, because I think it makes it easier to blend the freckles into your skin and make them look a tiny bit more natural. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a very small detail brush, and I'm basically just gonna apply a few random dots, and then I go in with my finger and I basically replace the dots and blend them into my skin a tiny bit. I try not to make them too big and too dark because I want them as natural as possible. So as you can see, the consistency of this one is a bit too much. Just gonna grab a slightly smaller brush and I'm going into the more cool toned shade of brown. So what we do is just freckle, freckle, freckle. Dab them out. Freckle, freckle, freckle. Dab them out. And just make it as random as possible, because the more random it looks, the less fake it looks, basically, the more natural, because natural freckles are also quite random. And I like to just focus them around my nose and then going slightly underneath my eyes over here, but I want most of them to be on my nose. And make sure to also like differ a tiny bit in size, to have smaller and darker ones and have lighter and bigger ones, for example. And don't hesitate to also go a tiny bit on top of that eyeshadow, because of course real freckles are not gonna stop wherever you placed your eyeshadow. And when you go outwards, just make sure to disperse the freckles a tiny bit more. And now that you have a bit of a freckly base, basically, I don't know how well you can see that. Now I want to try and do something creative with it, and I'm gonna draw heart-shaped freckles, hopefully. I'm gonna try at least. And then, so hopefully they will look slightly like you don't really notice them. That's kind of the goal. Like up close, maybe you'll notice them, but they're not too in view, basically. I almost want it to look as if I just happen to have some freckles that are shaped like hearts. They are gonna, of course, look slightly fake, but a bit like that, I think. So that's our fake freckles done, and what I like to do is just go in with some powder and go on top of it to blend it into the skin a tiny bit more. And like that, the freckles are done. Very cute. We're very heart-shaped in literally every area on my face. And now it's time to finish up the face with some highlighter and lips, of course. So I'm going into the Flower Nose Angel highlighter in the shade Love and Death. Just a beautiful pinky shade of highlighter. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but I think it's just a lovely, it's more of like a pearlescent highlighter, not a glittery highlighter, you know? So it has a bit of a sheen to it. And then it's just this beautiful pinky tone. It's very subtle. I'm not gonna do brow bone highlight because I feel like it will mess with the shape of the hearts. Now I need to do something for the lips, and I think I want to keep it as like light as possible. I think I'm gonna like this. Just slightly using a pink toned lip liner. And I just want to create a bit of a base layer with that and then blend it out into the lip. So we can try and create a bit of a naturally pink looking lip, you know? The goal of this entire look is basically to be extremely extravagant, but also sort of keep it neutral-ish. And then I want to go in with a pretty gloss. So I'm going into the Makeup Revolution Nightmare Before Christmas Sally gloss. Which is just a beautiful pink color. I think that's very cute. Okay, I'm just gonna do some mascara and some lashes, and then I'll be right back with you with the finished look. Okay, I'm back with the finished look. I think it turned out very, very, very cute. I think this is definitely the type of look that you can dress up or dress down depending on what your plans are for Valentine's Day. Like, you can make it something very creative and over the top, a bit more like what I did, or you can tone down the colors a bit, tone down the size a bit, make it very subtle. So I think this is a very, very fun look to do a lot of different things with. If you have any questions left about the techniques or products used in this video, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'd be happy to help you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. If you want to see even more from me, my Instagram is also linked down below, where I share all my makeup looks like this. So you can check it out as well. And that's going to be it for me today. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Toodles!